Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us at the MarketSite studio in Times Square, New York City, we have Garrett. He's a co-founder and CEO of Handshake. He joins me to discuss helping students think outside the box and recognize there are many ways they can apply their skills across multiple industries. Garrett, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you so much.
All right, this is exciting for me. I'm in grad school. I know Handshake very well, but let's give the audience some background. For the last 20 years, making it in tech meant making it in Silicon Valley to work for a small handful of companies. Tell us about Handshake and what was the catalyst behind it.
Absolutely. I grew up in Michigan and went to a school, community college for 2 years, and then transferred up to a school called Michigan Tech to study computer science. And it was a really rural institution, which made it hard for a lot of students to find internships and jobs. So much about that process in America is really driven based on kind of what your parents do or what school you go to. And we're trying to level the playing field for a lot of the students that are struggling to find employment after college.
With the slowdown that we're seeing in big tech, the tech dream job is really shifting real time as the class of 2023 is getting ready to enter the workforce. Why is this good news for both students and employers?
Yeah, so for a lot of students, I think it's a really intimidating time. I mean, if you read headlines and you think about what students are exposed to just daily in the news cycle, it's really scary for students. And I think what we're really trying to reassure them of is that there are still so many companies hiring, but you just have to look beyond big tech. So take, for example, I grew up in Metro Detroit, take, for example, General Motors. There's still incredible opportunities in electronic vehicles and automation at their facilities. Or you look at other companies, we actually, for a lot of the companies we're speaking to outside of big tech, they view this as a moment to be able to win a lot of the top talent, because historically it was very, very competitive with big tech. And with them pulling back, large companies are having a lot more success of winning the best technical minds in the country. And I think something interesting for companies to realize is that 40% of students are actually sharing in this environment. They're interested in working outside of the industries they historically considered. So there's a lot of demand for students today.
So Handshake is working to help students to launch their career in tech. How are you doing that, and why should they be looking outside of the box? What other industries do you recommend they should take a look?
Yeah, so we just published a list called the Tech Transformers list. And really what that does is highlighting companies that are still very much, I would almost say, gas on, hiring dramatically, very focused on hiring early talent right now across industries and locations. So you can Google and find our Tech Transformers list. And I think for a lot of students right now, it's just about getting creative. Maybe it's thinking about working at Johnson & Johnson in maybe their robotics division, right? Or maybe it's working back at US Foods in a data science role. So the students just need to look beyond big tech to find employment, because there are still many companies that are succeeding and trying to hire from college today.
Well, the fact of the matter is every company has to get on the tech bandwagon, right? I mean, whether you're in an industrial like GE or Honeywell as an example, they're not just industrials anymore. Everyone's leveraging AI, machine learning, data. So to your point, it doesn't have to be what you would traditionally think in Silicon Valley. What types of outreach are these companies outside of tech doing?
Yeah. So really what they're looking to, and the world's moved to very much a skill-based recruiting mindset. So what that means is, how do I find a student that's, say, studying physics but knows Python, for example, as opposed to just hiring computer science majors? Companies are really looking at skills. So that might mean performance marketing, that might mean data science, skills in, say, Tableau or data analytics. So looking beyond location and really looking to skills. And skills show up in different ways. They show up based on projects you worked on in the classroom, extracurricular activities. You're also able to see students' interests on Handshake, their location interests and their industry interests. And so companies are getting really personalized and really recruiting at a far greater array of schools than they were 10 years ago. You look at these companies, you can now reach 1,400 universities with a single search on Handshake, whereas historically you might have had to show up at a career fair and kind of hope the right kids walked up to your booth. So that's what we're seeing from a lot of these large companies.
All right, appreciate the insight, Garrett. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.